Connor Bare Knuckle Barry joins me once again, this time as he gets ready to fight Rocky Long in the main event of Ammo Fight League 8, which goes down next weekend at the Big E in Springfield, Massachusetts. Connor, what's up, man?
What's going on, Ryan? How's it going, bro?
Very good, very good. Always a pleasure to talk to you, man. It's been way too long. Last time you fought, I believe it's been over a year. You fought Jesus Cintrone. You made short work of him. That was down at the Big E again. Tell me a little bit about what's been going on the last year.
So I had a big shoulder surgery in June, and they had to fix my supraspinatus, infraspinatus, labrum, and my bicep, as well as a couple other things going on in the joint. So it was a fairly rough surgery to go through, especially since I've never had that amount of time off from the sport. But I learned a lot from it. I grew from it. It was good to finally get my body recovered, and I've never had that time off, so it's everything recovered, and my body feels great, and I know that my body feels good, and it's probably a bit of overtraining from my entire career. And then once I took time off, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is how my body's supposed to feel.
So is this an injury that happens specifically in training, or is this just wear and tear over a long period of time?
A little bit of both. So I've had issues with it. I was seeing the PT for it probably like 3.5 years ago, working on PT over and over again, and I kind of fell off with the PT a little bit. Maybe should have kept up the prehab stuff because it wasn't great. And in the gym, I went for a guillotine, and it just once the roll was over, man, my shoulder was so out of place, and the next week it would clink out and dislocate probably 20-30 times a day. It was agonizing. So basically, I didn't want to get it fixed. I went months for rehabbing it without trying to resort to the surgery. I fought Jesus with it last time, and after that, I went back for my follow-up appointment, and I thought I was going to be good. Funny story. And the doctor's having me move my arms, and he puts a little bit of pressure like this as I'm pushing up, and he dislocated my shoulder. It sounded like Barry Bonds hitting a home run. And next thing you know, I'm getting surgery the next week.
Wow. So that's quite a lot that you've been through.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Jeez. So what has that rehab process been like? Has it just been pretty, I got to imagine it must be like a daily thing, and it's been months and months to get back to a place where you're feeling comfortable again.
Absolutely, man. So the initial change is it was really hard at first because your whole identity has to change with it. You're a different person. You can't, I'm usually in the gym for 6 hours a day between training clients and class. Probably more than that, to be honest. It's usually probably that's my job. That's my full-time job is being in the gym. So I'm there all the time, and having to take time away from that was it was kind of like a big identity thing. So I started doing some art, started drawing, and keeping my mind active and busy, trying to work on other things to not waste my life in the year that I had. And man, it was a good experience. I learned a whole lot about myself, and I've grown as a person for sure. So I think it's going to show on my fighting as well.
I can't wait to talk about that. We're going to dive into all of that here real soon. I do want to mention, I see a lot of your artwork on social media, and you're very, very talented. How did you get into that?
Oh, thanks, Ryan. Funny story. I went to school for a little while back. I didn't graduate for it or anything, but at one point I was like, oh, art would be cool to do, and I had a couple years where I was practicing in UMass Lowell, but really, I didn't do anything. I didn't do shit for maybe probably about 4 years. I just kept nothing at all. I didn't really have too much passion for it anymore. And then once the shoulder thing really like took me for a loop. Um, so as I mentioned earlier, I was I set the date for the surgery and then never planned on actually getting the surgery. So when I got to see the follow-up appointments, it was a week before the surgery, and I was telling the doctors like I'm fine, I don't need the surgery, and then they dislocated my arm, and then now I'm like, oh shit, I actually probably do need the surgery, and the surgery's a week away, and if I want to reschedule, I have to wait another like 6 months. So I took the surgery a week away. I had a triathlon that I did the day before the surgery. It was just such a hectic weekend where there's a lot going on, and I was really, really nervous about going through with it. It was the first surgery, or first major surgery I ever had, and I wasn't sure how it would affect my life or my fighting or my future, really, and just to quell that anxieties about it, I started putting the pen back to the paper and I started working a little bit more. And I think when I first started, I wasn't really that good, and I started posting some stuff on Instagram, and people, I had a little bit of social support, kind of pushed me forwards a little bit. I had people like, commission stuff from me and all that stuff, and it would push me more every time I would do something. It would push me more and more, and I think I got better each time.
Yeah, that's very cool. Have you thought about, maybe transitioning into that when you're done fighting as, maybe like a way to make some income?
Yeah, man. Art's kind of tough to make some money with. It's like, because you need people that are willing to commission work and stuff like that, and you would need a constant flow of it. It's a fairly tough way to make money, but as far as like a passion, I think like sometimes commission and stuff, you don't really have the same fire underneath you as if you were to like I don't know, maybe I just have like this vision in my mind, and I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, I gotta get to work, and sometimes it just lights that little bit of a fire under you a little bit more, rather than having to do like somebody's mom or I mean, and to be fair, like I love doing portraits and memorial portraits. It is rewarding and fun for me. But it is also great to be able to do what I want to do as well.
Sure. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, we should talk outside of this sometime, because I actually have a very close friend. I was a groomsman in his wedding. He's from Maine, and he lives in Atlanta, Georgia now, and he is the lead artist for that show Archer. That's on FX.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
that's
unbelievable, amazing. So maybe I could put you two in contact. You might be able to. Yeah,
yeah.
that's very cool. Yeah, we'll talk about that. So tell me a little bit about how this camp has been. I got to imagine, you're taking this fight against a veteran fighter. You must be feeling pretty close to 100% and really anxious to get back in there.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. I it's been a long time off. This is really the first time that I'll be fighting for years with a good shoulder. Probably my first pro fight with a good shoulder, to be honest.
Wow.
So it'll be interesting just to see how that all plays out.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've learned a lot about myself through the process. The fight camp, this one's been a little difficult for me, just in terms of learning about myself, in terms of seeing where I could push myself to, prior to the injury, I'd be training like twice a day. I'd be going in and out, and I think through this camp, I realized that is fucking way too much, man. And I'm gonna hurt myself if I keep doing that stuff. So I really had to slow everything down. I gotta be smart about training. If I got a minor injury, I'm taking a couple days off. I'm relaxing. I'm doing yoga or something. And I'm not banging myself up day in and day out over and over again. It's more about if I'm healthy in there, it's going to be better than me. You know, like how much am I going to learn in a month? I'm not going to learn that much. So it's better for me to just be healthy rather than to try to ramp everything up. So I think I found that out, and it's a good little balance for this camp.
Makes sense. Now, I know you're not an arrogant guy, or you're not going to take away any of the wins from the opponents that have actually beat you here in your career. But when you say that, you know, you've never really fought as a professional with a fully functioning shoulder here, the injury that you had, is there one loss that you had where you could point to and say, geez, you know, that shoulder really affected me in that fight? Maybe things would have been different.
Well, to be honest, I've had, like, as far as the shoulder goes, I've had camps of mine where, like, the shoulder was like the least of my worries, and that was kind of like what I was talking about earlier, where I just banged myself up, man. You know, I was just over and over and over again, and I would use this training as like a drug. You know, it was kind of like it wasn't really healthy. It was almost like an escape mechanism. You know, it was almost like I just wanted to escape and just be into the gym and just be there training, and my body would get banged up. I broke my ribs the last time I went into cage titans. It was maybe the last training session I did, and it was like 4 days before the fight. One of my training partners, he grabs my gi, and we're just doing it to like sweat. That's all I wanted. I just wanted to sweat. He grabs my gi, goes for like that Toriendo, that X pass, and you know, at the time when you're cutting weight, your body gets really fragile, man. I'm pretty lean, and when I get down in the 60s, it's like my body doesn't like that. It doesn't really like it that much, and when I train there, it's even worse. So once I'm really heavy dieting and I'm doing any training, my body's a mess. So I ended up, he landed on me the wrong way. My ribs were fucking smashed. I could barely breathe out of them. That was really, really tough getting through that one. I was like just above crying on the mat. And it wasn't like the pain or anything. It was just like, oh fuck, what did I just do? What did I just allow myself to do? You know, it was a stupid thing. You know, I shouldn't have been rolling at the time. I shouldn't have been going. I shouldn't even been going close to 100%. You know, I wasn't in the state for it. So.
Now, just to clarify, this is before the Giannetti fight.
Yeah, that was before the Giannetti fight. You know, I think as far as the local scene goes, for one, a local belt, to be honest, and no offense to any promoters, has no interest towards me. You know, it doesn't mean anything. You know, like it means absolutely nothing, and you know, it's not like the belt is solid gold where I'll be able to sell it and, you know, it's actually worth any money. You know, it's a title, it's 5-round fight, but what else is different from it? You know, like nothing. Like the UFC doesn't necessarily say, oh, this guy has a belt from this local promotion.
Right.
It doesn't make you any more. I don't think it really helps you out too much. You know, it's anybody could get a belt. Anybody could get a belt for any fight. The belt doesn't mean much to me, and like I was saying, is, you know, I'm at a stage in my career where like every fight that I'll get from, you know, following this will be a fucking tough fight, and like for me to take a tough fight for $1,000 or $1,500, you know, it especially the way my camp goes, you know, it's not worth it, man. We put our health at risk. We put our lives at risk for cutting weight and stepping in there anyways. And $1,500 and you know, like, that's it. Like the reason we're fighting locally is to try to get to the big stage, you know. So it's for me, it seems like there's not. I don't know. I'm not really sold on it right now.
Gotcha. So, you're 6-3 as a pro right now. How far away do you think you are from getting that next step, whether it's Bellator, UFC, Contender Series, whatever it may be? And have you had any discussions with any of those promotions about them being interested in you?
Mm-hmm. Well, so I'm thinking, hopefully after this fight, I would ideally, I would like to. I would like to be in the Contender in the summer, and hopefully 7-3. If it's a Contender, I'd do either 55 or 70. I don't. I would do either or, just to get in there and to do it. And at 7-3, as a at a 55er, maybe 7-3 is not great, but 7-3 is a 170, or that's pretty good. The division is much smaller. There's less people. And I think I'm 24 as well, so I think I'd have like a long career ahead of me, and I think it would look good, as well as some of the losses I've had have been fairly controversial, whether people know it or not. But I got DQ'd for elbowing somebody in the ear.
That's
yeah.
right.
Oh yeah. Oh, crazy.
So when you look at the fighters in the UFC, in Bellator, that fight at 55 or 70, how do you feel your skill set right now, this day, compares against them?
Totally fine. I'm totally confident with it. I don't really see. I train with these guys. I train with guys who are there. I train with people who are there, and it's honestly the difference between a local fighter and a UFC fighter or a Bellator fighter is nothing really. It's really nothing. There's really no difference between just a local guy and a UFC fighter as far as skill wise. Maybe they market themselves better. Maybe there's a lot of other factors that go into it. Maybe this guy has a better manager than the other guy, or something along. There's a lot of politics in this game, I'm sure you know. I don't really think there's much of a gap. A good local fighter is gonna be the same as like a regular. Yeah.
Right. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that you don't get that call up within the next year or so. You're not fighting at Bellator, PFL, Contender Series, UFC, whatever it may be, and you have to take another fight regionally here somewhere. 45, 55, 70, that's like the average weight range for most men, right? So there's a lot of studs at featherweight, at lightweight, and welterweight. So when you look across the landscape of the New England fighters here, there are some very talented fighters that could potentially put you up to that next level with a win over them. Is there somebody, can you give me a name or two that really interests you, that you would consider, I'm not getting that call up right now, but if I fight this guy and beat him, that will give me the next shot?
So really, as far as the local scene goes, I can't say like any particular fight would get me the shot, just because I have no idea. I could take in, somebody who's like a beast, and the UFC could just be like, nah, we're okay from it, or whatever. And it's kind of like, at this point, I'm not here to like appease. I'm not trying to just get the UFC, because my goal is not necessarily the UFC. If the UFC doesn't come in, I'll just fight for Bellator when they come back, and it won't be too hard to get onto a Bellator card, So I don't necessarily think that I will have another local fight. I think this might be my last one. I think I may take some time off after this, make sure everything is going good with the body, make sure the shoulder's feeling 100%, make sure everything's going good, and I think either the next time you see me, next time we have an interview, I'll either be fighting in Vegas or in Mohegan.
Hey, I love it. I'm actually going to be at Mohegan to cover the Bellator event.
Yeah, the day before, huh?
The day before. Are you going to be going?
Oh, that would be awesome. I don't think I'll be able to make it there just because the weigh-ins and everything. I'll probably be making sure I'm rehydrated correctly, but I'll be trying to watch that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'll be updating. So, check the Between Rounds Facebook page and all that. I'll make sure if you're not watching it on TV, which
yeah. That'd be awesome because there's a lot of Bellator guys, man, at like 155, 170 that I would love to fight, man. Like I know there's a lot of those Gracies that are coming in there at 170. Like the Gracies would be an awesome name, man, for me. And just like my specialty is jiu-jitsu, so it's I don't think I'd have a huge issue with them, on the ground at all. And I think my stand-up would be superior to them. So what was it, Conry Gracie or whatever the guy's name is? He's in Bellator. Hobson Gracie's in Bellator. He's gonna be fighting, I think, Billy Goff. What's his name? Kimbo Slice's son, Baby Slice, Raymond Daniels. They have like some studs in there, man. At like 170, that would be super fun fights. Like Raymond Daniels, and you see that guy's kicks and stuff. Like that guy is super dangerous, man. He is super dangerous, but like he's one-dimensional, and he's fighting like Bellator's giving him guys that he's gonna beat. Like they're giving him that, so when they are ready to test them, it'll be. There's a lot of guys, and it's not like I'm gonna call out one or any of those guys really, but I think there's a lot of good opportunities for me in Bellator to have some really nice fights and make a big name.
I love it. Well, obviously, I wish you nothing but the best. You clearly have a bright future, regardless of which promotion you go to next. So we'll talk about that when the time comes, whenever you do ink that contract with whoever it may be. Let's talk about this one right now, Connor. What's your weight at right now?
So right now I'm at like 170. So I got about 9 pounds to cut.
Yep.
Which is actually fairly good. I usually when I'm coming down to 155, I usually stop at like around 169-ish, and I'll do like a 13, 14 pound water cut, which is fucking hard. But right now, I think just because the catch weight at 160, I think it's gonna be a little bit easier for my body, a little bit something to just get in there and feel how I feel. I think it'll be good.
Now, I got to ask, why this fight? Because as you know, anything can happen in MMA. People get caught all the time. This is a guy who's got a lot of experience. He's 21, 41, and 1. So over 60 fights as a professional fighter, but his record isn't the best. So a loss to him will be very detrimental to your career.
Yeah.
If you really look at it, the big picture here. Why this fight? Is this just a fight that you feel like, forget his record. He's a tough opponent. He's fought guys like Sage Northcutt. A win over him is moving me in the right direction. Or is this kind of a tune-up fight? You've been off for a year. You want to get back in there and just get a win under your belt.
Yeah, so no disrespect to Rocky or anything. He seems like a good guy to me. I don't think I'm going to lose this fight. It's just, he's a tough guy, and he's had a lot of fights, that's right. And, he's on the kind of end of his career, and I'm on the beginning of my career. I think my skill level is just high enough where I don't think I'm going to have many issues with this fight. I think it'll be something where I get to work on the skills that I really need to work on before hitting the big stage. So really focused on stand-up. I've been such a ground guy for all my fights that I'm really going to be focusing on working on this fight. I'm just like stand-up, like standing up, my boxing, my kickboxing. So I get to, it's interesting because I get to work an aspect of my game that, you know, had it be like, let's say, had it be a guy who's 10-0 or something, maybe I'd have to go back to where I'm comfortable with and go back onto the ground again. And that wouldn't give me that opportunity to work. I don't want to say it's my weak point, but, you know, as far as like when that pressure comes, I like getting it on the ground, and it's just been something that I just feel comfortable. I just feel comfortable getting on the ground, and you know, I know as my career progresses, there will be people I fight where maybe I won't be as comfortable on the ground, you know, and maybe I'll have to stand up with them, and it's a good opportunity for me to work on my weak points. To get through with another fight, to go through that whole mental process of getting in there, doing it all over again, just with all the time off, getting another win on my record, just bumping up the numbers a little bit, making me a little bit more marketable to big shows, and yeah, man.
So I just finished interviewing Rocky, and he told me that he envisions taking a bare knuckle fight here soon. So that tells me, just by him saying that he feels confident in his stand up. And with you saying that you would like to test your stand up and work on that, is this? Yeah. Okay. So this will be a fight where you anticipate it playing out on the feet.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think it's gonna be awesome, man. I think it's gonna be like a really great show for all the fans. I think it's going to be some fireworks in it. You know, it's got a good ring to it.
Now, you obviously, I got to imagine, you feel like your biggest strength, you mentioned it before, you're a jiu-jitsu guy. You feel like that would be, if all else fails and you need to go there to get the win, that's where you hold the biggest advantage. But where do you think his biggest holes in his game are? Do you feel like it's on the ground, or do you feel like you're still going to be able to outclass him, you know, on the feet as well?
I'm looking to outclass on the feet. You know, I think on the ground, you know, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for a little over 10 years right now. I'm really, really experienced in it. I haven't had any MMA fighter really give me too much of a tough time on the ground. You know, there's competition jiu-jitsu guys that do, but as far as MMA fighters go, like, I've rolled with a lot of really high-level guys, and I haven't had many issues with them on the ground. So I'm gonna keep that in my back pocket, you know. But I'm gonna start. You know, I'll just keep the juice in the back pocket. So if I need it, I got it. But I don't think I'd have any issue with him on the ground at all. I think to make it an exciting fight, you do it on the feet, you stand up like gentlemen, and we just bang it out.
So official prediction, how are you getting your hand raised?
I would say knockout.
First round?
Yeah, let's do first. Yeah.
First round. Okay, well that's exciting. That's a main event that I know a lot of people will be looking forward to seeing. If you do get your hand raised and you get this win, I know this card is coined Battle of St. Patrick's. It's not actually on St. Patrick's Day, but are you going to go out and celebrate with some green beer?
Of course. Of course. Who wouldn't?
Do you have a beer of choice?
I'm a Guinness guy, to be honest. I'm actually 100% Irish. I took a DNA test.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I'm 50% Irish, so we have that in common there. Hey, always a pleasure talking to you, Connor. Can't wait to see you come fight night down at the Big E. Before I let you go, anyone you want to thank or any sponsors you have, the floor is yours.
I just want to shout out to all my coaches, my training partners, my fiance, my family, everybody who supports me, everybody who helped me through the fight.
Awesome. Well, hey, always a pleasure again, my man. Make sure we get a chance to talk afterwards on the 14th.
Absolutely, brother. Nice talking to you, Ryan.